Everything happens so quickly that the mushroom still doesn't understand his friend is fine. She looks at him as soon as she notices him. She happily runs to the small mushroom, thinking he had also perished. The piglet licks him non-stop, but he doesn't mind as he's relieved she is okay. Wiping his tears, he believes she had passed away. Once again, the sound of the trumpets echoed, catching the dude's attention. That sound produces unexpected reactions in him. The piglet finally notices her friend is acting differently. The small mushroom appears to be in a hypnotic state. She grunts a few times, but he walks like a zombie. With her mouth, she tries to drag him to another place. Exerting force, her bite becomes stronger. Being pulled and bitten snaps the mushroom out of it. He doesn't know what just happened, only that his head hurts a lot. The piglet looks at him once more, hoping he's back to normal. But the sound of the trumpet echoed once again throughout the place, making the small mushroom fall back into his hypnotic state. This time he starts running toward the sound. The piglet is surprised by her friend's speed. She runs after him so that he doesn't reach the city. There is a waterfall descending through that area. The water cascades down from a high point, following its course through the landscape. Various mushrooms are advancing as if heading into battle. On the other side, there are many people gathered to fight them. The explorers clash with the mushrooms violently. A man with a repugnant bald head defends against the attack of a small mushroom. He is a level 33 D-class warrior and eliminated the creature with a single strike. Another level 29 swordsman trusts his rear to this warrior. His perception keeps him alert to his surroundings. Skillfully, he manages to slice up some mushrooms. Since there are many, a small one approaches him with a spear, but the creature's attack is thwarted as it is struck by an arrow. Its small fungal body falls lifeless to the ground. The one who saved him was a level 21 archer, alerting him to the constant danger but promising to protect his flanks. He said now was not the time for distraction, and that the real battle had yet to begin. Several level 19 mushrooms join the battle. They should protect themselves immediately, as they are using a swarm technique. A pair of hands begins to cast a spell. Immediately, all the small mushrooms turn into large ice blocks. Frozen, they become easy targets, and one is pierced by an arrow. Another is sliced by a sharp sword, and some others are crushed by the spikes of a shield. The one who came to assist is a rank C mage. This is Taha, a level 38 ice mage. They're under orders from the vice leader. Massive metal forms begin to move. These are mecha mushrooms at level 41. Unable to dodge the attack, the mage conjures an ice barrier. However, the mushroom's drill is strong enough to break through it. Faced with the unexpected, his eyes are filled with despair. The others scream in panic as there is nothing they can do. A loud explosion occurs and the ground is torn up, sending debris flying. Now the small mage writhes in agony as a significant portion of his torso is gone. More of those deadly mushrooms soon appear. In the midst of the crowd, someone shouts for Taha. This person wields a large staff with a red stone at its tip. Immediately, the instrument begins to glow intensely. The man prepares to launch his flaming spear at the mushrooms. It flies swiftly toward the first target. The impact is completely destructive. This is Waga, the leader of these people, a level 49 fire mage, and he tells Taha to hold on because he will take him to the city. The archer knows that if he leaves the battle, he will face punishment from his guild. Meanwhile, Taha writhes in pain, saying he doesn't want to be logged out of the life server yet because he's still too young. Waga doesn't care about the punishment. His principles are non-negotiable, and it seems the guild treats them as disposable material, as they haven't done anything in the battle so far. As they talk, they hear a characteristic sound coming from the air. Another one of those mushrooms prepares to attack. This time, the warrior manages to parry the attack with his shield. It's not the time for conversation or argument. They are on the battlefield. Every second there is dangerous. With effort, he manages to repel the creature away. The mushroom falls to the ground but doesn't take any damage. This allows the swordsman to take advantage of the opportunity. He stomps the ground forcefully to launch himself into the air. As he lands, he delivers a precise stab to the mushroom. Once inside it, the sword begins to vibrate. Soon, there is no more life or hostility left in that creature. Waga suggests everyone leave with him as they are only serving as cannon fodder for the stronger ones. But the swordsman disagrees with him, saying that's how the guild selects the strongest, and abandoning the battle now is something only fools would do. Now there are many injured people there and many destroyed mushrooms. It's time for them to show their strength, and there's no better way than to accomplish the mission of subjugating the Mushroom Kingdom. The warrior agrees, saying he is old and still in rank E, but he will do his best to help. In front of the swordsman, the others advance into battle. That swordsman hopes to one day be recognized as the Sword Saint. Waga heard everything but said nothing more. Even as the team leader, the bald man recognizes that it is this ambitious young man who has kept everyone united. The archer is motivated and says she believes in him. Once again, the trumpet is blown by the mushroom. That curious sound heightens everyone's alertness. The wounds covering one of them begin to react. It is regenerating to the sound of the trumpet. In response, the archer warns that the monsters are regenerating. The small mushrooms rise, ready to fight once more. All those they had killed are now alive again. The body of the swordsman was leaning on is alive again. Realizing this, he panics. He stabs it repeatedly, but the bald man tells him to stay calm and that they need to regroup now. However, Something happens right in front of him, but he cannot react. Someone had struck him with such force that even his shield was shattered. The other two don't understand what happened to the bald man, who now has his face turned inside out. This leaves the once brave swordsman horrified. Wada feels the same shiver running through his body. It's a muscular mushroom, a juice-loving, needle-fearing one at level 47. Furious, the fire mage promises to burn each one of them there. A great fiery aura envelops him as he rises from the ground. Once his attack is ready, he directs the large fireball at his enemy. The flames advance swiftly, and the juice-loving mushroom realizes that if it doesn't act, it will be roasted. What he hadn't noticed was that someone nearby was wielding a wand. A mushroom mage was using its magic. Next to the buff mushroom, a tiny one began to glow. With the magic, it had evolved instantly. Its cap was large enough to shield against the fireball's attack. That was the fire mage's most powerful attack, and it was blocked effortlessly. Meanwhile, another mushroom let out a big sneeze, and from its barrel a projectile was fired. The fire mage was hit by this attack. To the despair of his companions, he falls to the ground, unresponsive. The sneezing mushroom uses its many legs to reposition itself. This time it's preparing to launch an explosive mushroom. Several of them are preparing to do the same. A massive artillery barrage is about to be launched toward the humans. Faced with the imminent danger, an order is given on the battlefield for them to spread out and protect themselves from the spores. The shots are finally fired in their direction. Destruction and carnage fill the prairie, and from above, people watch everything from the safety of a flying ship. The vessel navigates securely above them. Inside it are apparently the most powerful members of this guild. Yubel, a sword general at level 69 and rank A, asks Lilith if the target is ready. Through a crystal ball, she visualizes the Mushroom King. She is a beast tamer at level 62, and controlling a creature from afar while avoiding the king's influence is difficult. Nea, a ninja at level 64, tells her to hurry, as people are dying below, creating a distraction. Even if they are weak, they are still his companions, and it bothers him to just stand up there doing nothing. Marion is a high priestess at level 68, and she watches everything in silence. A young man says her power cannot be wasted on low-level monsters. This is Borka, a gunslinger at level 67, and he says the priestess cannot support cannon fodder. The ninja suggests they go down then, as the mushroom army is getting stronger, but the shooter says that in this guild, they only value results. Sentimentality has no place here, and until the leader says something, they will do nothing. Sitting on a throne is the leader of this guild. It's Gilheim, a fire mage at level 129. On the battlefield, they continue to defend themselves from the humans. A mushroom pulls out strands of hair from its head. It is a needle mushroom, and it is at work. Pulling out each of its hair strands is painful. Ordinary mushrooms approach it. As they get close, it hands a small one its strand of hair. This causes a reaction in the creature's body. It now has a small hand to hold this object, and small feet for moving. This transformed it into a level 19 soldier, and it does the same for all the small ones approaching it. Since there were many of them, it had to pull out several strands of hair. Running its hands over its head, it realized the worst had happened. It was bald. Feeling anger for being a bald mushroom, it channels its rage. The force of its anger causes the hair to start growing back. Its transformation was complete, and it had hair again without using minoxidil. Apparently there are no more mushrooms to take its hair, it just didn't want to be bald. There are mushrooms of all kinds, and they are all prepared to defend the kingdom. From above, the Mushroom King observes everything happening. Near him, a different mushroom approaches. The creature has a sinister look. It's an assassin at level 27. Close to the king, it uses its charge attack. This sudden movement makes the king look at it. With this attack, it managed to destroy something. This action was seen through the crystal ball. The tamer managed to destroy the Mushroom King's secret treasure. Knowing this, the leader declared that they could now descend to the battlefield to fight. In unison, they obey the leader's command. The mysterious object now lies shattered on the ground. This enraged the Mushroom King. In response, the assassin smiles maliciously. It leaps wildly around the area, taking down more creatures, until it is subdued and brought before the king. It seems they are accusing it of something. Before it could do anything, the creatures are struck by a barrage of shots. The assassin's body falls to the ground, lifeless. Through the now perforated body, it's clear who was responsible for the shots. This is Bo, one of the Mushroom Generals who does not tolerate rebellions and uprisings. In response, the Mushroom King remains silent. Behind him is a camouflaged creature. This chameleon has a small blade on its tongue. Stealthily, it attacks the king from behind. But its attack is blocked by a barrage of slashes. Its body and tongue are now in several independent pieces. The sword that did this returns to its sheath. The samurai had protected his king from an attack. Bo wants to know why he took so long. She thought he had died. He says he also encountered a mushroom controlled by humans and is surprised that the invaders have gotten so deep into their territory. With his hands, the king picks up the body of the traitorous mushroom. Knowing that one of his own was used in this manner fills him with rage. The body's fluids begin to flow. The body starts to liquefy as the king absorbs it, until there is no body left to absorb. The king's cape flutters in the air, trembling. This was the last straw, and he orders his army to advance with full force against the enemies. The piglet bites her friend, trying to make him stop, but he keeps walking, completely out of control of his actions. When the trumpet was broken, something happened to him. The small mushroom now has control over his body. He doesn't even know what happened, as he had no control over his body. Before them, the battle between the humans and mushrooms rages fiercely. Curious about what's happening, he moves closer. Several small creatures are emerging from a larger mushroom. They keep fighting, and their numbers seem endless. The human army is weakening. Watching, he realizes the battle is enormous, and that there is a wide variety of mushrooms. From a distance, he hopes the creatures will be able to subdue the humans. As the battle progresses, more and more humans are defeated. Even though they are small, they can be cruel. The juice using creature channels its tremor rage against the humans. There are so many monsters that survival is a challenge. Paralyzed, the swordsman says he doesn't want to die, but his mind is collapsing, shattered like his sword. He no longer wants to be brave, he just wants to stay alive. Before him, the strongest of the guild finally descend. They have finally joined the battle. He looks at them, still in disbelief. After so much suffering, the experts have finally entered the conflict. The blonde asks the high priestess to withdraw the army from there, so there's no risk of friendly fire. The tamer prepares for battle. The shooter says nothing, just whistles calmly. The ninja says that everyone has done enough, and now it's up to them to resolve the situation. Full of splendor, the high priestess prepares her spell. Holding her staff, it glows vigorously. The light begins to spread across the battlefield. It's a mass teleportation spell. The swordsman who had given up is caught by the magic. A bubble forms around him, making him levitate. To the mushroom's surprise, all the humans are now in floating bubbles. Injured or not, they are all being taken out. The bubbles ascend into the sky, climbing higher and higher. The mushrooms are now uncertain about what is happening. The eyes of the high priestess glow intensely. A magic circle is conjured and the rescue people disappear. This takes a lot out of her capabilities. But now there is not a single person left who fought the creatures. The magical glow begins to fade slowly. Before the puzzled creatures, only that small group of humans remains. The blonde doesn't want to waste time and tells them to finish these enemies quickly. A single swing of his massive sword shakes the air. To brace himself, his foot destroys the ground beneath him. His grip is precise and powerfully firm. He roars, announcing he will unleash a powerful attack. The devastating blow is executed in the hero's blade. The cutting wave advances relentlessly, slicing everything in its path. A line of devastation is carved into the battlefield. Without hesitation, the ninja leaps from his position. Once airborne in position, he uses his techniques. Clasping his hands, he uses a move popularized by a boy in an orange jacket. The number of ninjas in the air begins to multiply, until there are many of them. He wields a whirlpool shuriken that grants 25 attack points. Throwing it toward the creatures, he creates a storm of cutting steel. As if that weren't enough, the shurikens multiply. Countless of them begin to fall from the sky. The remaining monsters are severely struck by this attack. A mage reacts, refusing to stand idly by. A large mushroom appears among its ranks. Its cap is enormous, shielding its allies like an umbrella. Its structure is also strong enough not to be pierced, but capable of deflecting the attack. The mages gather and begin casting more spells. However, one of their faces suddenly explodes. It doesn't take long for the others to meet the same fate. This puts the other mushrooms on high alert. The barrel of a gun smokes. The shooter had been the one responsible. Before him is a sneezing mushroom that saw everything but could do nothing. It is now furious over what happened. So it and its companions launch an artillery barrage. The explosive mushrooms rush toward him at high speed, but he isn't worried, claiming they are too slow. Calmly, he loads another cartridge into his shotgun. He tosses it into the air like a coin. It lands perfectly positioned in the gun. Now it's cocked and ready. Once loaded, he aims his rifle at the creatures. That single shot releases several small projectiles. Like a hailstorm of incandescent pellets, he stops the explosive mushrooms. Furthermore, his bullets aren't halted by them. They continue on their course toward the sneezers. There is nothing they can do, and their bodies are shredded. This causes them to catch fire, losing life constantly. The others on the battlefield advance fiercely against the humans. The tamer has makeup in her hands. She spreads a bit of it over her face. When she finishes, she closes the container holding the powder. In her hands is a small bag. She opens it, searching for something. Looking inside her bag, she says it's time for a snack. From within, a menacing growl is heard. A clawed hand emerges from the bag, reaching for the creatures. Clenching its fingers, it grabs a large handful of them. The mushrooms that were stunned by the impact were captured by that grip. Swiftly, the hand returns to the bag. From inside, an audible burp is heard. Hidden, the small mushroom and his piglet friend watch everything. She had fallen asleep, but he observed it all and is now anxious. It seemed like a massacre, high-level players destroying small, irrelevant monsters. The blonde knows everyone must prepare and start targeting the Mushroom King. Once again, he swings his sword to unleash a powerful slash. Behind him, the ninja does the same, repeating the attack. With his rifle in hand, the shooter also takes aim at the king. Those three powerful attacks are launched. The synchronized strike merges them together. Now they form a single powerful blast. It advances dangerously toward the Mushroom King. Even at the brink of impact, he does not move. As time passes, the attack gets closer to him. However, the ground before him begins to crack. The earth rises up and